Greetings, Culturians, and welcome back to another weekend box office wrap-up. That's right, it's a Monday, so this is what we do, so here we go. Now, before we get started, just a real quick reminder, double check you're still subscribed to the channel. We're trying to get to 50K. I can only do that with your help, so if you wouldn't mind, please make sure you're still subscribed, double check that you've turned on all notifications, and get ready for several videos this week. Let's get on to it. Let's start first with The Conjuring. That's right, over here from World of Real, Jordan Rumi kind of predicted that it was going to have a big weekend. The story coming out on September 6th, which is a couple days ago at this point, telling a tale of over $80 million for a weekend earnings. That's a lot of money, especially for a horror film, and this one seems to be a winner. It caught on a long time ago, and it led all others in the box office in a way I don't think anybody else expected. In fact, Variety's version of the story is a little different. The Last Rites scares up 83 million. That's right, it went over 80 million. Might even calculate another $1 or $2 million globally once we know what happened in the actuals on Monday afternoon. But just to set the story straight, this was something that was definitely going to happen, and it reveals that it's not necessarily anything but bad movie fatigue that has been pushing moviegoers away. Apparently they're interested in lots of horror titles, and horror movies have been doing very good, if you haven't noticed, over the last few months. But I'm going to tell you right now, summer box office was so dismal that it came up $250 million short of where they wanted it to be, all because every single superhero film underperformed, or flopped if you'd rather use the accurate word. In fact, this is the third biggest horror opening ever. At least that's according to Deadline. It breaks franchise records, of course, and Warner Brothers ascends to the top of the global box office with $3.7 billion alone by itself, making Disney look sad in terms of market share. And this is exactly what I have been calling for a long time. And the only way that this will be interrupted is if Tron Ares does pretty well, or at the very end of the year, James Cameron brings fire and ash in a way that I'm not really expecting. But hey, we'll see. And because this was such a big opening, that $83 million domestic shot all the way up to $187 million globally. This is an enormous open for a horror film, one that's likely to make sinners sad at the end of its run. In fact, I fully expect that. But as always, we have to get to the actual numbers, and these are kind of important because it tells the tale that I don't think the other studios are really excited about. The Conjuring Last Rites performance on this particular weekend is a grand total of 83 million, as we've already said. But what is not being said here is that it's not in 4,000 theaters. You see, it's only in 3,800. That's very small compared to a lot of other openings that we've seen in the last several weekends, including, if you rewind to Superman, Fantastic Four, or even like the summer kickoff of failure, the Thunderbolts, folks. This is a number I just think reveals all. You had $4,700 per theater screening just on the one day alone that's regulated here. It fell off 40% going into Sunday. But what is the overall performance, you have to ask? Well, let's refresh and take a look at a static number. It hasn't changed. They do believe it's going to perform over $83 million domestic. But then we have Hamilton. That's right. Disney's going for the cash grab here, releasing it to a weekend at $10 million. It puts it in second place, and it is, I guess, a new offering that you could have seen before. Did pretty well with $5,479, but again, when compared to The Conjuring, $21,000. Another $800 added in there as well, but you get the point. There's no comparison. And while Hamilton only went into 1,800 theaters, which is probably what drove the per theater average up, it only squeezed out $10 million bucks. I think Disney's going to be stuck with trying to release Disney minus garbage into theaters to try to earn some money, because they're certainly not doing it with their streaming service. Now, let's take a quick look at Weapons, which fell to third place from first place, but it's still doing pretty well with a 50% fall finally, to $5.3 million, you're looking at $143 million in domestic performance alone. Freakier Friday still hanging in there because there's zero competition, made an average of $1,200 per theater, almost as much as Weapons, and still another $3.8 million, falling just a little over 40%. So I think its chance to grow may be falling, but domestic performance at $87 million, this thing could squeak out a win. In other words, make an actual profit, which Disney doesn't do anymore. I'm not sure you've noticed, but I just want to keep emphasizing that. And in fifth, a film I don't know if I can call a failure yet is Sony Pictures Caught Stealing at $3.2 million, and a grand total earnings of 14.9. This was supposed to be some kind of phenom comeback surprise film because of course, the main actor. It just didn't turn out to be. Disney's Searchlight, The Roses, which was the War of the Roses, fell 55% over last weekend to $2.8 million. That's very small, considering its total earnings to date is only $12.2 million domestically, and it doesn't look better internationally. The Fantastic Boar, on the other hand, well, Disney, $2.75 million with another 45% decline, losing 400 theaters and making a mere $270 million. You really wish the international markets were still doing what they used to do, aren't you? But hey, look, this thing may actually almost break even, but I still doubt it. I don't know how much more they think they have in this, but hey, they have other things still in theaters, so why not? The Bad Guys 2, Light of the World, Superman, Jaws, Splitsville, The Threesome, and The Naked Gun all fall pretty unsurprisingly, although I will say this, with Splitsville jumping into 800 theaters, that's an increase of 365%, adding 772 theaters. It's nearly at something more wide release, although this still technically isn't. At $1.2 million, I'm disappointed that this thing isn't doing better, but then again, I'm not surprised. Everything else has fallen into the also-rans, which includes Jurassic World Rebirth, the F1 movie, Nobody 2, and of course the Toxic Avenger. And that thing fell out of theaters very rapidly, going to digital soon, if not already, earning a meager $2.8 million to date domestic, and I have to say I'm disappointed with everybody who went to see it. And why is that exactly? Because I'm about to point out that Cat Video Fest 2025 by Oscilloscope earned another $48,000 this weekend and has netted so far almost $1 million. That's saying something. At the end of the day, the most embarrassing studio this year is Disney, with the fact that Elio is still in theaters, earned a mere $5,000 in 30 total theaters, and, well, is stuck at $72 million. I think the movie's dead, I think the concept is dead, and I think pushing the message at kids is going to be dead forever. With a grand total of 32 films in theaters this weekend, we finally got back over $100 million in the theaters at $122 million. And that's a sigh of relief from every exhibitor that's still in the business. And with that, we have run through the weekend box office. I hope it was a good one. If you didn't get a chance to see a film, you didn't miss much unless you're a horror fan. And then, well, you can still see The Conjuring next weekend and probably even more theaters because it seems to be the only winner. So to wrap up, not a lot out there, not a lot happening, and not a lot to be missed, as it's basically also rans and, well, not a lot of opportunity in the future either. So let me know if there's a film that you are looking forward to down in the comments section below. And let me know what you think of The Conjuring if you had a chance to see it, because I unfortunately didn't get a chance. But on that note, be sure to take care of yourself, take care of others, and until next time, see ya! Hopefully at the movies.